Here we go. You are about to meet a fabulous landscape painter, and you're going to learn about painting in acrylic. Please welcome Ober-Rae Starr Livingstone. Ober-Rae, welcome.
Thank you very much, Eric. It's a whole lot of fun to be on your show and to be saying hello again after meeting you only once for a brief period of time. It's really nice to talk to you.
Well, we met, it was about a year ago. It was a summer a year ago, wasn't it?
On your birthday, or
yeah,
a day or two of your birthday.
That's right. You came into Castle Gallery. You made the drive down from, dare I say, Michigan?
Windsor, Ontario, right across the bridge from Detroit.
Wow, that's a long drive. Well, thank you for that. I really appreciate it. We had a chance to meet then, and I learned about you and learned about your painting, and that's why we're here today.
Yeah, I've been friends with Jody and Mark at the Castle Gallery for a while, and they told me a whole lot about you before I ever went down to meet you.
Well, I hope they didn't tell you any secrets.
It was a chance of a lifetime as far as I was concerned, to go down and be with friends and meet you at the same time.
Well, it was a chance of a lifetime for me too, to meet you. So, well, what are you going to do today?
I've got a big painting on the go here that you can see in the background. I paint in both oils and acrylic. I've probably painted for 30 years with acrylic. And I started with oils, worked with oils for about 10 years and switched to acrylic and been back and forth with oil and acrylic the last couple of years. So like these little paintings here in oil, this is a big 36 by 48 painting that I've been working on and off on for a while now in acrylic. And I'm going to be working on a couple different areas of this painting that need some improvement and some changes. And I'll explain as I'm working on it what changes I'm making and the reason for making those changes. And I'll give some idea to people about the different products I use, what kinds of paints I use, what kind of palette I use, and other things that might help them if they're learning to work with acrylics.
Outstanding. All right. So we're going to take you off so you can set up your camera, and I'll be back in just a minute after I make a couple of announcements. All right.
All right. Great. Thanks, Eric.
All right. Our guest today is Ober-Rae Starr Livingstone in Canada, acrylics and landscape. So it's going to be fun to see that today. Welcome to day number 257. We've been banging them out, man. It's just like line up those golf balls on that tee and whack one day at a time. We're having a lot of fun. We've been doing this since we all began into quarantine way, way, way back. And the goal is to essentially, keep you upbeat, keep you feeling good about things, focusing on learning something new or learning about art. We've had a lot of people, thousands of people who've told us things like they picked up art for the first time. They're starting it. They're getting the confidence. They're picking it up again. They're learning it. They're growing to the next level. Every day at 12 noon, we're here on Facebook and YouTube, among other places, Instagram, Twitter, etc. And I think I think you guys lost me. I apologize. I hit a button. Anyway, every day at 12 noon, we're here on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. And we also are here every day at 3 p.m. 3 p.m. are samples of the well over 500-600 videos that we've produced, art instruction videos, and we have the artists on answering questions typically, and also offering discounts on those. And today is no exception. Now, today we have, who do we have? Let's see if we can find it. Oh, there we go. Wow. Today's a big day. Juliet Aristides, Secrets of Classical Painting. That's going to be a phenomenal video for you to watch, especially if you like realism. If you want to see how this is done, this is a pretty incredible painting. It's from that video, Secrets of Classical Painting. Juliet, of course, is an author of many, many books and a really, really great instructor and a wonderful person, very warm, very highly intelligent person. So anyway, we're happy to have her on today. We have, yesterday was a red letter day. Actually, it had two red letters. I'll tell you why. First off, last night, about 7 p.m. Eastern, I was on a Zoom call with the California Art Club. California Art Club presented me with their highest award, and it was very generous of them. And so that was kind of fun. And so I will try to get a replay of that. I've actually got it on my Facebook. If you happen to be on my Facebook, what I did is I just held my camera up to the Zoom call, and you were able to see that. But I got a lot of complaints about my shaky camera work. But I'll see if I can get a better version of that, and that might be kind of fun to see. But it was probably more important to me than to you. But anyway, that was cool. That was the first thing in the Red Letter Day. The second thing, actually, it happened yesterday, but I found out about it this morning. Yesterday, we had our 12 midnight deadline in Pacific time, and for Watercolor Live, and we are now up to over 1,200 people, almost 1,250 people who have signed up for Watercolor Live. That is phenomenal. Thank you so much. We're going to have such a great time, and seeing all these great watercolor instructors, it's just blowing me away. It's really going to be exciting. I'm getting excited about it because I want to learn watercolor. So that event is still available, of course, but it's Watercolor Live. It's taking place January 28th through 30th, and the beginner day is the 27th. And so you can sign up for just the beginner day, or you can take it all. But it is going to be phenomenal. And of course, this says sign up before December 6th. Now that needs to be updated because now there's a new price. It's $100 higher, but it's still going to be very worth it. And there's still deadlines on that price because the price will go up a couple more times as we get a little closer to the event. Glenn Knowles is going to be part of Watercolor Live. Larry Moore, Shuang Lee, Angus McEwen, Birgit O'Connor, Ian Stewart. We have people from all over the world teaching. Daniel Marshall, Thomas W. Schaller, Andy Evenson, Stephen Zhang, Sue Nee Warren, Matthew Bird, Pablo Rubin in Spain, Mario Robinson, Lauren McCracken, Joseph Zbukvich, huge, Keiko Tanabe from Japan, Joseph is from Australia, John Salminin, Gene Peterson, Kim Minichello, Brenda Swenson, Michael Holter, and Linda Daly Baker. That's called Watercolor Live, and you can sign up for it, or maybe you just watch this real quickly.
Join the world for Watercolor Live, the ultimate watercolor learning event, January 27th to 30th. 4 days of online art lessons from top master watercolor artists from around the globe. Learn to paint nature, people, cityscapes, flowers, and more. Become a better artist. Click the link to learn more and get our free ebook, 101 Watercolor Secrets from the Top Masters.
Anyway, that's Watercolor Live, and you're going to have a great time with that. So thank you for everyone who signed up. That was pretty exciting to see that, and it's just really going to be fun. We're going to have a lot of fun. Now, we have some prizes today. The winner of my book, Make More Money Selling Your Art, this is going to be a tough name for me to pronounce. I wrote it down so I can make sure. Akaki Bash Makino. I know. Mekin. I don't know. I'm sorry. I butcher names. I am so sorry, but you are the winner of my book, and you can butcher my name, and then you'll be even. All right. So today's prize, we're giving away a pair of value specs. Value specs help you see values. I used to hold a piece of red plexiglass. Got to be exactly the right shade. You'd hold it up to your eyes, and it helps you see the values when you're out painting or when you're in the studio painting, looking at a photograph, anything. And I was like holding my paper towel in one hand and my brush in another, and to have to grab that thing. So I thought if I put it in glasses, and I could keep them on top of my head, just bring them down when I need it. And I do my underpaintings now wearing my value specs. Always do it, because inevitably, once I check, I always have my values a little bit off. And so I just put them on, do my underpainting. If I'm painting without an underpainting, I'll put them on, try to get the basic values in, and then I'll check back with them once in a while. Anyway, you can win a pair of those. And the way we win them is through comments. And today, if you leave a comment wherever you are in the world, just say where you're watching from. That's very helpful. So we know where you're watching from, but also that gives us a feel for who's out there. And it's nice to give our artist guests encouragement to tell them who's watching and where they're watching from. Reminder, as we head into this month, the Plein Air Salon art competition will end on the end of the month, and you want to make sure that you get your entry in. So do that. Do it before Christmas starts, because you want to get that done. Get your best look. Go through your paintings. You should do this anyway. Go through your paintings from the year and ask yourself, what are the best ones? You know, what happens to me is I'll put my paintings aside for a while, and then I'll look at them and I see them through new eyes, and things that I thought were awful were pretty good. Things that I thought were pretty good are awful. And so go through your work and enter your best paintings in Plein Air Salon by the end of the month. Okay. That's one thing to do. If you're new to us today, we have a free DVD or digital video for you. It's called 97 Amazing Painting Secrets from the World's Best Artists. Just go to 97tips.com. It's free. DVD, you got to pay the shipping on, but you can get instantly streamed for. And this is about a 2-hour video, and it's really terrific. And we are actually making a brand new one, because we produced this one a while back, but the brand new one is going to be all up to date with a lot of new tips. And so it'll have a different name, and that way you'll be able to collect them both. We'll give them both to you. It's what we like to do. All right. Okay. So what else do we have going on? First off, I should tell you that on YouTube, if you go there, you can find all 257 days times two, because I do noon and I do 3. And there's different content, and all of it is there, including the early marketing content, everything that you want. Just go there, but hit the subscribe button. We're trying to get that up to over 60,000 subscribers. We're right on the edge. That'd be kind of nice to get that done before Christmas. Also, if you don't mind, I'd appreciate it if you go to Instagram. I'm trying to build my Instagram, and it's Eric Rhoads, Rhoads. I probably could put it on the screen if I could find it. Let's see here. There we are. Eric Rhoads at Instagram and Facebook. Now, if you go to Facebook and try to follow me on my personal page, you can follow, but I can't follow back because I'm at my limit. But you can also go to Eric Rhoads Publisher and follow there. All right. That would be really a nice gift. Thank you very much. Speaking of gifts, I hope you've been doing your Christmas shopping. If you're getting ready, it's kind of an interesting time. I was saying to Lori that I think it's going to be a boom for Amazon and for the shipping companies, because, think about the entire state of California locked down when Christmas shopping is going on. That's going to have a big impact on online ordering. So be an interesting year. Okay, so what else do I have to talk about? Not much, really. I just want to show you some of the work that Ober-Rae Starr has done. Beautiful, beautiful paintings. And I just think that he's got a very delicate touch, and I love that fall painting. He's using a couple of different mediums. He's using oil and acrylic, not together, I don't think. And you can just see he's a fabulous painter. And so let's see here. This is his reference photo for today. Okay, so let's bring Ober-Rae back on. Ober-Rae, you there? Hello? You are there.
Wanted just to explain a couple things.
We cannot hear you. I don't know what happened, but we're barely picking up your voice.
You can hear me better now?
Nope. I don't know what's going on. I've got my volume cranked up. Okay, get a little closer and see what happens.
Testing 1, 2.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I don't know what the problem is, but it's a little light. So just talk as loud as you can, okay, buddy?
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes, it's a little better. Yes.
I'm pretty much shouting now.
Okay, well, keep shouting.
Keep shouting.
Yeah.
Okay, I wanted to explain to people a little bit about some of the things I work with. So this is called a stay wet palette. I don't know how many people are familiar with this.
We cannot see it. Bring it over so we can see it. A little further over. Not closer, but further over in front of your body. There you go. Perfect. Almost perfect.
Okay, so this is a system that's set up with a sponge underneath. So it has a sponge underneath. This is a paper palette. It's a special paper that is hard wearing. And because of the sponge underneath, it keeps the paper damp. And your acrylics actually stay moist for hours at a time this way. And it has a lid you can put over it so that they will actually stay fine for using the next day or 2 or even 3 days. So this is a big advantage as far as I'm concerned when working with acrylics, and I always work with this in the studio. And if I happen to be painting in plein air with acrylics, I'll use a stay wet palette too, because working in plein air, the acrylics will dry out even faster. So if you have them on a stay wet palette, the chance of them staying moist and workable longer in plein air painting is, in my estimation, pretty much essential. So that's one tip for those who aren't familiar with plein air painting with acrylics or even studio painting with acrylics. To me, it's an essential tool. Other than that, most of what I work with are golden paints because I'm used to them. I've been using them for years and years and years, and I've become familiar with them. I don't use a lot of mediums when I'm painting. I find that just the straight acrylics are enough for me to work with to get the kind of effects I'm looking for in painting with acrylics. I find that a lot of people think my acrylic paintings are oil paintings because of some of the soft passages and the soft changes in values. And that is because I'm working with a lot of layers of acrylic. So I might be working with 20 and 30 layers of paint on different parts of a painting in order to get a softer look in passages. So that's another thing people may be aware of, that you're not limited in working with acrylics to hard edges and that kind of thing. You can get soft edges. It's just a matter of working with a lot of different layers. So today, one of the things I'm going to be working on is this part of the painting here.
Okay.
Overall, the painting has a lot of accent on the right.
When you're Ober-Rae, when you're facing the canvas, it's almost impossible to hear you. So when you turn your head towards the canvas, I'm sorry, it's just very difficult.
Okay, so this painting has most of the accent. The greatest part of the accent is on the far right-hand side of the painting. So I want to bring a few points into this part of the painting to balance out with all the accents on the far side of the painting. I'll turn the camera a little bit so people can see more of the painting to see what I'm talking about here.
All right.
So,
okay.
All the light on this part of the painting, I'm trying to balance out the painting a little bit with some light on this part of the painting.
All right, and I'll try to do a little translating if necessary. I know it's really tough with this audio, folks, but he's going to do a great job. Okay, let's get started painting so we don't run out of time.
Okay.
Now, do you stand or do you sit when you paint?
I stand almost all the time, no matter what size of painting I'm working on. Even some of the smaller paintings, I stand when I'm painting.
Yeah.
So this is this tree line here, I'm actually going to bring down a little closer. So it looks like it's closer to this tree line here. So I bring more accent into this part of the painting.
So you're creating a dark so you can put a light accent in there?
Yeah, I'm going to now start messing around a little bit with the tree shapes.
I want to ask you a technical question because we're having such tech problems. Maybe we can solve them real quickly. Do you know if are you connected to a Wi-Fi or are you connected to a cell phone?
I'm using a cell phone, but I'm connected, I believe, to the Wi-Fi.
Okay, here's what I'm gonna ask you to do. I'm gonna ask everybody to forgive this for a second. What I want you to do is to go back. I want you to sign off of our platform here. Check to make sure that your cellular is off on your cell phone, so it's not defaulting to that, so that you're calling in on the Wi-Fi. And then let's call in again. Maybe the audio will be better because on the test it worked out just fine. So can you do that real quickly? I'm sorry to make you go through that, but it's part of the problem is we're getting a rocky internet connection, and part of the problem is the audio.
Yeah, let me check. Let me see if I can do that.
All right. I'm going to take you off screen. And so these things happen, guys, and I apologize. And so now I'm going to have to ad lib for a couple of minutes while he does that. But if he goes and resets his cell phone, maybe that'll make a big difference. And you know, sometimes it just happens. You know, we have good luck most of the time, but not all the time. So maybe it's too close to the camera. I don't know. There's a lot of comments on what the problem is. It's hard for us to know. We run tests. He and Allie run tests before the program, and the test worked out just fine. So anyway, it is what it is. So I'll be kind of going to the comments right now and just kind of checking with you guys and seeing what's happening. And I think it's really interesting, the whole stay wet palette concept. I didn't really know that about acrylics. I just assumed those were for some other purpose like watercolor, and little do I know. Anyway, let's see where we've got people from Norway. We got a lot of people throughout the US watching. And okay, let me try to go back to him and see are you back? Hello? Okay. So that is, I don't know where where he is right now, but it's not going to be good if we can't get him a good broadcast signal and give you a good experience. So if we have to, we'll bail out and do it again tomorrow or whenever we possibly can. We have others scheduled for tomorrow. But anyway, can I repeat the info on his palette? We couldn't hear it. He said that he uses a stay wet palette, and the stay wet palette has a sponge underneath a piece of palette paper, and he uses a piece of palette paper that is designed for the stay wet palette so it absorbs the water and it keeps the acrylic so that he can paint on it all day. It keeps it wet and not drying out, and then it's got a waterproof lid. So he said he could get about 3 days out of acrylic paint using the stay wet palette, which I didn't ever know. So I think that's pretty terrific. And he uses that in the field and uses oil in the field. So it just depends on what he's doing. Okay, let's see if he's back here. He's not back yet. So we'll just kind of wait this out for a second and see if we can. Oh, wait, maybe he's back now.
Been able to.
Oh, there we are. We got you.
Is the volume any better yet?
Yeah, it's completely 100% better.
All right. Let's see if we can carry on here.
All right. Terrific. Wow, that's a huge difference. I don't know what changed, but that's great. We're encouraged. Okay, I'm going to put you on full screen so you can see where you are here on this. Okay, so you laid in some darks. And you said you had a highlight up in the sky, and then you laid in these darks because you're going to be putting a light in front of them. Is that correctly on the grass? Okay, Ober-Rae, the phone, the audio was great. Ober-Rae, hello, hello, hello.
One of the advantages to working with acrylics is that you can take over things really quickly.
Ober-Rae, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, the phone went bad again after you adjusted it. I'll bet the microphone is being covered up, setting on an easel or something.
Let me check that out.
Now it's fine. Now it's fine. Try it again now.
Leave it alone. Is it still all right?
Talk to me now.
Testing 1, 2.
No, when you're closer to it, when you were down there by it, it was get closer.
Testing 1, 2.
No, it's not any better. That's weird. All right.
Is that any better?
No, it's not. No, it's almost as if it's being covered up. Do you know where the microphone is on your telephone? Hello? All right. Thank you. Now it sounded promising there for a second. All right.
Testing 1,
okay.
2.
Yeah, now it's fine. So what's the difference?
Something to do with when I put it in this phone holder, it seems.
Yeah, it's because it doesn't sound good now. So I think what's happening is the phone holder is blocking the microphone. Take it out of the phone holder.
Testing 1, 2.
Yeah, that's what's happening is you're blocking the microphone. So maybe if you can put a little paintbrush or something under the phone between the phone holder so that it doesn't block the microphone. Well, this is the magic of live video, folks. I appreciate your patience. Talk again.
Testing 1, 2.
That's not much better. I think what you're going to have to do is hold the phone and paint. I'm sorry to do that to you, but you're just going to have to kind of hold it and paint. One hand painting, one hand on the phone.
Testing 1, 2.
If this is your first time here, yeah, now that sounds better.
Testing 1, 2.
Try it now. He's frozen up now. Okay. Ober-Rae, you're frozen. If you can hear me, I don't know. I'm going to remove you, and then maybe you can try to come back, and I'll see if you're there. This is difficult. I'm sure. I'm sorry for you guys watching. I'm sorry for him too. I know he means well, and this is always difficult. You know, those of us who are artists are not very tech savvy sometimes, and I know I'm not, and I struggle with these things all the time. I need help. I'm fortunate to have help, but I wish we could have somebody there in the studio with them. But to get everybody on an airplane to go to every location every day would be tough. Okay, we'll try it again. Nope, he's gone. We'll just try it one more time. And if not, what we'll do is we'll sell out and we'll find another day and we'll get this going and get it right. It takes a lot of patience to try to get it right. I think he's going to sign back in and we'll see what happens. And we'll just give it one more shot. So what are you guys doing today? Me, I'm going over to the studio. We have a sound stage, which is about, maybe 6 minutes here from the house. And I built it over there because it was 6 minutes from the house, because I used to have to drive 45 minutes to an hour just to do a half an hour interview. And so now, hang on a second, he's back. You're back.
Okay, well, I'm going to just hold the phone here and paint.
Okay, all right. Sorry about that. It sounds so much better though.
I'm sorry, it's not your fault.
Well, it is my fault. I should have had you better prepped. Okay, so we're going to have to be able to, you got to hold the phone so we can see what you're painting. All right, good. Well, yeah, that's going to be tough to hold the phone and to paint at the same time.
Well, if I can figure this out.
let me ask you this. Do you have another easel sitting around somewhere? You could set the phone on.
I do, well, not right in here. I do, but in a different place. Let me
Okay.
see. Hang on a second. Let me see.
That's pretty good. I mean, it's not close, but that's pretty good. Better. Good. All right. Let's keep it there. That's good enough. All right. Just have to make sure you don't. Can you talk and see if it's working?
Testing 1, 2.
Perfect. Okay, here we go. Thumbs up and applause, everybody. Thank you for your patience. Okay, just don't block it. All right. Tell us what you're doing now.
Okay, so at this point, I'm building this tree line up so it looks a little bit, it has to fit in with the other trees. So I'm painting fairly quickly here. I'm going to have to adjust the colors because they're too late, but that's another advantage of painting with acrylics, is those kind of changes can be made fairly quickly. So
do colors sink in acrylics like they do with oil?
do they what?
Do they sink in? Do they dry lighter or darker?
Yeah, actually acrylics, there's a whole lot more difference in the way acrylics dry than oils dry. They actually dry generally about 2 values, 1 to 2 values darker than they go on. So that's a little bit of a challenge in working with acrylics, is learning to compensate for the fact that they're going to dry darker than you're looking at them when they're going on. And it's something that takes a little bit of practice. So I know, for instance, that what I'm putting on now, when it dries, is going to be
Lighter.
darker.
Oh, darker.
They dry 1 or 2 values darker.
Darker. Okay.
So that's less detail than I have in these others, and they're less finished. So this is kind of a step I would use between a finished product like this, where I have a little bit more detail in the trees, and this. So this is kind of a starting point. But what I want to get at this point is the difference between this tree line and this tree line as far as value goes. So this is coming forward more than this is.
All right. And worms
What I
come
want to
worms
do-
come forward and darks come forward, right?
Right. But something else I'm thinking about doing in this part of the painting, again, to balance it out with a little bit of all the bright color over here, where the focal point is I want to bring a little more accent to this part of the painting. So this is just an idea here. Again, there's not a lot of time to do refined stuff here, but I just want to get an idea what it would look like if I put a barn or something here, because I would kind of like this to look like a field and part of a farm type of thing.
Right.
And I can put an accent over here of something that would be a farmyard, barn and things like that, maybe a house and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm quickly just going to do something in here, make some marks in here that would kind of give me an idea how that would work if I step back and look at it after putting some rough shapes in here.
It's amazing you don't have to do much, do you?
No, just to get a basic idea. So the basic idea would be, of course, the fact of the different values in here, how much they light up an area. So maybe you have a barn or something, Again, this would all be refined a little bit afterwards, but maybe you have a barn or something like that and you have a silo or something like that. So in order to do this in the time period we got, I'm just kind of roughing some ideas in so then I can step back and look at what it looks like from a distance. Just like when you're plein air painting, when you're in the studio, you need to be able to step back constantly and have a look at what your painting looks like from a distance. So I'm going to take a quick step back right now and have a look.
All right.
So,
you know, once you stepped back and we could see the effect of the whole painting with the sky, then you could really feel the impact of the light hitting that house or that silo. Really
yeah.
worked.
So part of the thing is, in the quick part of doing something like this tree line, the colors in this tree line are a lot different than all these. So, and I kind of like these colors. So because I actually am the kind of person who makes all kinds of changes when I'm painting. I guess one of the things I kind of encourage artists to do, generally speaking, or people learning to paint, is not to be afraid of painting, and don't think in terms of making a mistake, because like you've pointed out in a lot of different interviews I've heard you talk to artists with, there is really no such thing as a mistake because you can always paint over things, right?
Not in watercolor. Not if you're leaving white.
The beauty of acrylics and oil is you're free to make all the mistakes you want, right?
Yeah. So Ober-Rae, you're kind of shadowing over the area you're painting, so maybe you should step over to the right. There we go.
So you can see that. So these are actually getting darker now, even as they're drying in this short period of time. These are getting darker. They're getting a little closer to this, but they are a lot brighter than this. So I would be tempted, and again, because I can go back and change this in a day or two, I would be tempted to bring more color up into this tree here. So right away, when you look at that, this tree is now jumped forward, right?
Right.
So it's looking closer than these trees because it's a little bit brighter. So again, you're getting, because of the values and because of the hue, the fact that this is a brighter color than these colors back here, it's got a little bit more yellow in it, for instance. Yellow brings things forward. So if you put even a little bit more yellow in here, I'm bringing this tree even closer because it's getting to be a more vivid color. So now I've got more separation between those two planes. So I'm liable at this, at some point to play around with these trees on this plane because I like the values back here. I like the colors back here. And that means, of course, changing these trees some and these trees way over here some as well.
Let me ask you a question. If, let's say that you wanted trees way in the back there, maybe right there under the sunset. What say you, no, on the right side. Yeah. Let's say you wanted those trees right there to look like they're getting splashed with light. How do you make them look that way? Because if you put yellow on them, then it's going to be too yellow. What would you put on them to create the sense of light, but not make it too yellow?
Well, it's got to have some blue in it. It's got to have more blue in it than these here.
Yeah.
To cool it down some.
Okay. So your palette is blocking the camera. There we go.
Okay. So you have to have some. You have to gray it down, cool it down.
Okay.
The further back something goes, the cooler it gets.
Okay.
Also, because this is such a bright yellow and orange, if you gray down your yellows on here, they're still going to look sunlit to some degree, but they're not going to look as bright as they would because they can be compared to the brightness of this yellow here. So
Right.
for instance, here's a lot lighter color with some yellow in it. And I can put a little bit of that here on the tops.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So it reads like light, but it doesn't. Yeah, that's interesting because I'm struggling with that problem right now.
There's a lot more blue than yellow in there,
Yeah.
but it's still like you say, reads as light because it's against the darker yellow. So just for experimenting, I'll put a little bit more yellow in there. And also in the distance, we're going to add a little bit more. We're going to add a little bit more white to it. So that's the color I just put down. I don't know how you can see this.
Yeah, we see it.
This is the color I just put down there. Now
It's
there's
really kind of,
something with more yellow.
we can't
and
see
more
the other. We can't see it all. You move it up. Yeah,
color.
there we go. There we go. Now,
So
yeah,
this is the color I just put down. You see the darkness of that compared to that.
yeah,
So this has more yellow in it and more white in it.
right. Okay.
So the white in it dulls it down to some degree. So that allows it to look more distance as well. But
Okay.
I'll show you the difference between that color of grayish yellow and this with a lot more yellow in it, just so we can see what it does here.
Well, it doesn't feel distant.
What's that?
Okay. So yeah, that's fine. So that almost makes it. I don't know. It doesn't. It makes it read not as well.
Yeah, it makes it come forward, right?
Yeah.
So one of the advantages of acrylic is I can wet a cloth a bit and rub that down some. And now only a few minutes later, a few seconds later, I can come back in with that other green. I can come back in with a little more blue, bring some of those blues back up. So one of the advantages to acrylic painting is how quickly you can make changes.
Now you paint both in acrylic and oil. What makes you decide which medium you're going to use?
I like oil, I think, a little bit more for plein air painting
Okay.
because of the fact that it does stay workable longer than acrylics.
All right.
On the other hand, I have done some plein air painting with acrylics as well. And I'm the kind of person that makes changes oftentimes, makes a lot of changes. And painting even plein air in acrylic, you can, like I'm doing now with this, I can make changes really fast.
Okay. Terrific. You guys need to go into the comments and tell us where you're watching from. So would you be, if it, so you, the focal point of your painting is the sunset in the clouds. Yes.
Right.
And so if you were to pump up the light around that house, it would really be in conflict with that focal point, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it might be. That's probably just about the right value.
Yeah, because if you laid a bright color on that grass in front of that, for instance, like a spot of light, then now you've got two focal points instead of one, correct?
Yeah, but I could play around with this a little more. I could put in, because it was put in so quickly, without much form yet, as I work into putting more form into it.
Bring your palette down.
I would put maybe more reds or something in there, darker reds, to look like a barn or something.
All right.
Again, I won't define it that much at this point. I'll do that, later on.
Right.
I might put some more dark reds in there. So I'm not changing, I wouldn't change the values a whole lot more. I wouldn't bring a lot more value into it. Again, like you say, to compete too much with the other part of the painting, but I would be interested in having enough over there to kind of balance off with so much strength in this part of the painting.
Right.
So I do that with these trees here, giving them a certain amount of impact. And with this barn here. And like you were talking about, I don't want a real bright green maybe in front of here, but I could have a certain amount of sunlight bouncing off the grass here to bring just a tad more interest to this area.
Looks like you do a lot of wiping out or blending with your fingers.
Yeah, it depends on how, I use anything I can use. Again, I'm painting from the side here, which makes it kind of a little bit tougher to see what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So rubbing out is due to the fact that I'm not in a great position to be painting from, but
yeah, it's not easy to see the painting when you're standing beside it.
yeah. However, I have no problem in using whatever I can to try to get an effect I can.
Yeah.
So,
Now, have you tried the open acrylics, the ones that Golden makes that are slow dry?
Yeah, some of the acrylics on my palette right now are open, so I've painted a lot with open as well as with heavy body. So the open are interesting. I've learned that in some instances they can be really a great help because they do stay moist a lot longer. So if you're out plein air painting, for instance, with oils or with acrylics, and you have open, they take closer to really dry. They take close to probably half an hour to be relatively dry. And
well, you can finish a painting and send it to the gallery the same day.
Yeah, well, the heavy body dry in a matter of 5 or 10 minutes. Like, it's been less than 10 minutes since I painted this, right?
Yeah.
This is dry enough to work over again.
Now,
So
sometimes acrylics get a kind of a shiny look to them. How do you avoid that?
I don't think there's any real way. Mostly when they get a shiny look to them, it's much like oils in that respect. So oils, you get a shiny look to when you have lots and lots of layers over the oil paint.
Yeah.
The more layers you build up, the shinier it tends to get. So the same thing happens with acrylic. Where I've built up more layers of paint, there's going to be more reflected light because there's less pores in the paint layer. You've got pores in your canvas. The more layers of paint you put over it, the more those pores are covered up, and there's less pores in the paint layer itself, so it's going to reflect more light. The pores in the paint actually, the little pores that maybe exist on the film of paint actually don't reflect light as much as this. That's why you have, when you're varnishing, you have a satin and you have a gloss varnish or a matte varnish. So the gloss varnish basically seals the whole layer that you're varnishing over with a real tight film of varnish. So there's no pores and it's reflecting a lot of light. The semi-gloss or the satin finish is a little bit more porous, allows more light through, so it's not reflecting as much. It's the same with the paint. So when you're painting with acrylics, you can, like with oils, varnish afterwards. So it's considered a good practice to put an isolating coat before you varnish. So you would use a medium, like an acrylic medium, and paint over the whole painting with an acrylic medium.
But you don't use any medium when you're actually painting, do you?
I don't, generally speaking. I have a I find it enough challenge to make a decent painting just with using paint. So I don't use much medium. The only medium I use sometimes, which may be a good kind of tip for people, because it's not advertised as being for this use. There's a retarding medium which, when mixed in water, retards the drying time of acrylics. So if you're using heavy-bodied acrylics, if you add some of this to it, it retards the drying time. I've never found that works really well for me, but I have found that there's Golden makes a product called Acrylic Flow Release, which is
acrylic flow release.
Yeah, and what it's advertised to do is make the acrylic paint flow easier over a surface, disperses the paint easier, so you can move the paint around easier. But I found that it actually slows the drying time down a wee bit as well. So rather than using a retarding medium, I'll use the acrylic flow medium.
All right.
And I'll put it in a spray bottle. So they suggest you mix these kind of mediums, like the retarder or the acrylic flow release in about a 10-to-1 ratio, 10%. So I'll mix it in a spray bottle, and I might at times spray it right on my palette.
You're blocking the camera. We can't see it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, spray it on your palette.
I'll retard my own drying time. So I'll spray it sometimes on the paint on my palette, or I'll just even spray water on there on a stay wet palette, spray a little water on there, and it keeps things moist as well. Or sometimes I'll spray it directly on a certain part of the painting that I'm working on, and it'll slow the drying time down a bit.
All right.
So on my palette, I have a mixture of heavy body and open acrylic. So the drying time varies between the different kind of paints I've got on here, because sometimes I'm looking for fast drying, sometimes I'm looking for a little slower drying. I don't worry. You can mix the open acrylics and the heavy bodied acrylics. You don't have to, if you're using open acrylics, you don't have to use exclusively open acrylics. And the same for heavy bodied acrylics. You can mix the two. So then you get a different drying time again. To me, most of that stuff is complicated enough that I don't actually worry about it a lot. I just paint with what I have available at any given time. And I work around the drying times.
All right, cool. Well, why don't you come back on camera, because we're out of time. I'd like to see you again. And I know a lot of people came in late, didn't get a chance to see you. So yeah, don't put paintbrushes in your mouth.
I didn't put the paint in my mouth, just the brush.
That's funny.
My apologies for all the technical problems there. I'm sorry that it cut things short. And
we'll have to have you back, and we got it figured out. That's the most important thing. And a lot of thumbs up and applause. Everybody felt bad for you on that, but you turned it around and gave us a lot of good lessons, and that's what matters. And I learned a lot about painting with acrylic today, more than I've ever learned, as a matter of fact, because of 2 or 3 little tips that you gave me that are fabulous. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you. I'm glad I was of some help.
I want to just quickly show a couple of your pieces. I'm going to put these on the screen and you can talk to them. This one's called number 1, early stage.
Yeah, so that's the painting you're looking at now. So this was just to show you some ideas of what I had in mind when I started. So this one, in fact, has a little barn house in the distance there.
Yep.
Started changing the foreground around. In the next painting, you'll see some significant change.
All right.
So that's closer to where I'm at now. The lighting isn't all that great on pictures, but it shows that there's some development happening in the sky. The clouds I developed further. Again, the foreground I changed a lot because I didn't like what was happening, basically. So I go through a lot of changes in every painting I do. I don't worry about making changes. Like I said earlier, you can make a change and then come back and change it again or whatever the case may be. So I end up doing yeah, so there's some of the changes taking place there on the foreground. And again, I changed it after that. There's a little bit more development in the sky there. I think the next picture again is a little further along again.
Yeah, I think this is the last one I've got, I believe.
Okay. So that's the last one before what exists now. And I've changed it somewhat again since that point. So at this point, you can still see a barn back in there a little bit.
Yeah.
So once again, I'm thinking of putting the barn back in there, and it's going to go through the sky. Actually, in the painting at this point is a lot more developed than the sky in this photograph there. But I just keep looking at the painting. The painting's been on my easel for quite some time, and I'll work on it for a day or two, and then sometimes it'll sit for a few days, and then I'll look at it again and think, no, this isn't working or that isn't working, and maybe if I get this or that or the other thing, it'll help the painting, and that leads to another change somewhere. So painting is kind of an organic process for me.
Yeah, I get it. Well, we all struggle with it. It's never easy. So do you have a website? I think it's probably Ober-Rae.com. Is that right?
Exactly.
Ober-Rae.com. Terrific. Well, thank you for being on today. I'm sorry we didn't have you have your camera and everything figured out earlier, but we'll improve on our end and get that stuff done so that you don't have to suffer like that. I apologize. But
be totally honest with you, Eric, let me explain something. You guys worked awful hard to get this thing set up for me ahead of time. Allie spent a couple hours with me moving the camera around and everything. She was incredible. The fact that it went strange today is the first time after spending a couple different sessions with Allie where the thing never had a problem. So it has nothing to do with your guys' lack of effort, believe me.
Well, I think we learned not to cover up the microphone. Somehow it was getting covered up by the camera holder. So anyway, it's all right. We recovered. You did a fabulous job. Thank you so much for being on today.
Well, I appreciate the invitation. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you. That's Ober-Rae Starr Livingstone and acrylic painting. And thank you again for being on. I want to thank you guys again for the award at California Art Club last night. That's cool. And thank you guys for signing up for Watercolor Live. That's cool. We're over 1,200, almost 1,250 people signed up. And that's pretty exciting. It's going to be a phenomenal conference. I hope you have a terrific day. Remember, keep your head in the game. I know a lot of you are frustrated. A lot of you are in areas where you can't get out. And you're not even allowed to walk on the streets, I understand, in some areas. And so we keep everyone in your prayers. Keep everybody, that this is ultimately not in our hands, and we have to just look for the best and do the best we can and stay positive, upbeat, and keep those around us as positive and upbeat, because they're, a lot of people are down. Kids are down because they can't go to school. It's crazy. So stay positive. And try to engage people, and teach them how to paint, do something, and give them, share this with your friends, because a lot of people are looking for something that they can do, and so this is something they can learn about. Thanks for watching today. I'm Eric Rhoads, publisher of Fine Art Connoisseur and Plein Air Magazine and Streamline Art. Have a terrific day. Bye-bye.